This video carries on from the previous exercise where you were drawing lines using the coordinates and the distance input method. So if you follow those instructions, you should have a file called Lecture 1 Exercises, and you should have these two drawings here. If you've zoomed out, you can zoom in using the wheel and the mouse, or you can use a zoom command. One thing I forgot to mention in the previous video, on the side here there's some little shortcuts here. There's actually a shortcut for panning and also a shortcut for zoom. You can change these little zoom options. So click on this icon here, it'll drop down. There's all different zooms. I have it set to zoom extents because that's the nice quick one. So if you click on that, that'll zoom into everything you've drawn. So you should have these two drawings here. So we're gonna just for the next exercise, we're gonna do looking at circle command and the rectangle command, but we can do them all in the same drawing file. Okay, so I just have these now. I'll just show you what the notes are. We have these notes again. You should have access to them as well. So we're going to go through the circle command and the rectangle command and then the polyline command, and that'll be us all done for lecture 1. So just put this back over here. So if you have your notes, you can get them opened up on screen or print them out, whichever way you have them, and we'll just work through them now. So the circle command is obviously a very popular command because, you know, especially engineering, like for engineering, there's things like if you're drawing the position of pipes or nuts and bolts, for example, or anything circular, obviously you're going to be using the circle command. So the circle command is located in the ribbon up the top here. So there's a little drop down menu. You kind of see the little white triangle. Every time you see a little white triangle, that means there's actually more options available. So if you click on this, you'll see now there's 6 different ways of actually drawing a circle. So there's using the center radius, center diameter, 2 point, 3 point, tan radius, tan. Now at my time working as an AutoCAD technician, I only ever use actually these two. Very occasionally I've used these, and I rarely if ever used these, to be honest, as a working and doing architectural drawings or doing civil or structural drawings. So if you want to learn about these ones, you can have a play around yourself, but I'm going to focus mostly on the top two, and then we'll do these two ones, the 2 point and 3 ones, just quickly. Okay, so to bring up the circle command, we click on the circle icon and then select the one you want. So for this one we're going to select circle center radius. So again, if you hover over the option, it'll bring you up a quick description on screen. So click on the command, and you'll see now the command line is actually active again. So specify center point of circle, and it's actually asking, you can change the type of circle you want, because we have it set to center radius. That's all we want. So all I want to do is actually just click around a random spot on the screen. So this is going to be our center point for the circle. So when we draw circles, you'll see we click the point here. It's actually, we're controlling it from the center. So the distance from where we clicked to where we're moving the mouse, that's going to be our radius. So obviously you can do it freehand, you can kind of move it back and forth, but obviously if you're drawing a circle, you want to have it accurate. If this is a pipe or something like this, it's going to be a very specific diameter. So for this example, we'll specify a radius. So the radius here will be 30. So we'll type in 30 in the keyboard and just hit enter. So now you see there's our circle there. It's kind of cutting through our other drawing, but it doesn't matter, it's okay. So that's a circle with a radius of 30. So that's 30 from the center here out. If you want to do the same thing again, but actually select the diameter, say if you're given the diameter of the pipe as opposed to the radius, you can just click on a random spot here. And now you see down the screen here it says specify circle or diameter. So because we clicked on the diameter, it obviously knows that's what we're looking for. So we can type in 60 for the diameter. And again, that's the same thing. So they're obviously the same circles, we're just drawing this with the radius command and using this with the diameter command. So fairly simple, you can't really go too far wrong, and you can do multiple circles, and it's just a matter of positioning them the right way and setting the diameter or the radius. And the next option you'll see in the notes is kind of the 2 and 3 point. Again, I haven't used these as much, but the 2 point command is basically you hover over the icon. Again, you can see a little quick description how it works. So it creates a circle using 2 endpoints of diameter. So say if you had 2 endpoints of another circle or a line, you could actually use the 2 point command to draw a circle between these two. So just for example, I'll draw a circle. If you want to go to your 2 squares over here, or depends how close you have them. So I'm going to click on this point here and this point here. So the distance between these 2 points actually then becomes the diameter of the circle. So straightforward enough. Again, if you just draw this anywhere you want, it doesn't have to be, don't have to do exactly like me, just have a go at the command. So 3 point again is something similar enough, but instead of actually using 2 points, it's just using a third. So again, I'll just kind of click on the screen. There's 1 point, there's 2 points, and you can click a third point here. And it's the third point kind of will tell how big our square or how big our circle is going to be. So let me just click it there. Seem to have unintentionally done a Disney logo almost, but there we go. Won't sue me for copyright, hopefully. So that's basically our circle commands. Very straightforward. Again, if you want to learn more about the tan radius, tan, there's plenty of videos online. But again, I haven't used them that much myself when I was working as a CAD technician. So if you know these two, you should be okay. Okay, so the next command we're going to do is actually going to look at the rectangle command. So the rectangle command is, I'll just show you on the notes where we are. So we're on this page here on the notes. So we're going to look at the rectangle command. So in the drawing tab, you'll see the rectangle command is here. So you can either click on the icon or you can type in rectangle, but I'll just show you there's another option here first of all. So this is actually a polygon. You can either select to draw a rectangle or a polygon. So a polygon, this one might be useful if you have to do details, structural details with nuts and bolts. This is a fairly straightforward way to actually do them. You just type in the number of sides, and it's similar enough to what we're going to be doing here. So you can have a play around that one yourself. But for this video, we're just going to look at the rectangles. So I'll select the rectangle. So you just click on the icon, or you can type in REC on the keyboard and press enter. But so whichever way you want to do it. So again, just click into some free space over here. So we're going to click here. So when you click open on the icon, you'll see on the command line at the bottom it says specify other corner point or diameter area dimension. So you can do it freehand. You can just click on a random size here. So you can draw a random rectangle that size here. Again, it's not very accurate because we don't know what size it is. If you're going to be drawing something in AutoCAD, it has to be accurate. So we'll go to the rectangle command again. We'll start it up. Okay, so usually the most common one I've actually used when I'm drawing rectangles is using the dimensions tab. The dimensions option. So you'll see down the command line it says specify other corner point or area, dimension, rotation. So with the area command, if you know one of the lengths and you know the area, it'll actually draw the rectangle for you. But again, the most common one I've used is just using the dimension command. So you can either click down into the dimensions here, or just type D on the keyboard and hit enter. And this will bring you up the next thing on the command line. So again, follow what the command line wants us to do all the time. It's asking us to specify the length of the rectangle. So just to make sure we fit here. So this was a radius of about 30 here. So we'll draw a rectangle. We'll draw a rectangle 30 units long again. So the length of the rectangle. So the length is going to be this line here, and the width is going to be this one here. So the length we'll set as 30, and hit enter. And now it's asking for the width. So the width is going to be this one here. So we'll type 15 for this, and there we go. So now you'll see now actually, unless you have to do one more click with the mouse just to kind of put it into place. So once you put in dimensions, you can actually move your mouse around. That'll orientate the rectangle into the position you want it to. So all you do is click the left mouse button and it'll lock it into place. And that's that one. Fairly straightforward, easy enough. Again, just all you have to do is put in the dimensions, set to what it is, and you can't go too far wrong. Fairly straightforward. And the next one we're going to do is going to look at polylines. This is again another quick one. So this is our polyline command. So this is actually what this is. This is actually if we're drawing this shape, for example, we could do it with the individual lines. We could draw a line here, line here, line here, line here, but all of them would be individual objects in the line. But using a polyline would actually you could draw all these lines individually, but they would actually all be connected and be one object. So I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. So actually a way to actually see how that works is these drawings that you did here the other day or on the other video, these are all with individual lines that were kind of drawn separately from each other, one after each other, and they're all separate. If I delete this one line, it will only delete that line. But if we have a polyline, for example, if you delete, it's all one object. So when we draw rectangles, for example, it's actually drawn as a polyline. So if you click any one line, it actually selects the whole object. So if I try to delete one line, it deletes the whole lot. So we'll just undo. So these specific shapes like rectangles and circles, these are actually drawn as polylines. But you can actually draw a polyline itself, just freehand almost. So in the draw tab up here, so I'll just bring up my notes again. So in the drawing tab, we have the polyline option here. So it's this kind of straight line with a bit of a curve. So we click into it. You can either click on the icon here or type P line into the command line. So again, always follow what it says on the command line down here. So specify your start point. So I'm going to just click randomly here. So click your start point, Then it has a load of options here, so arc, half width, length, undo width. So you can either go freehand like this. You can type in the length, the line you want to be. So for this one we could type in, actually we have to make sure we select it. We'll just click on the length, type in 50, and that'll shoot it in whatever direction the line was going. If you bring it back here, and say if you want to actually close the line, what you can do is there's actually an option down here for close. See where it says close? Just click on that, and that'll actually bring up to wherever the line, your last point was. It'll bring it back to the first line and close your object. So now we've actually got an enclosed thing, an enclosed shape. But again, like the rectangle, when you click on the line, it actually selects the whole thing in one go, because the polyline is one solid object. So it's handy if you sometimes when you've got detailed drawings with lots of individual lines, it might be tricky. You need to move them or copy them, because you might not select all the lines. So if certain things are drawn on polylines, you're just more likely to get them all moved in one go, for example. There are options. You can do things like you can change the width. So say if you want to draw another line, say if you want to edit a polyline, you can click on a polyline you draw, just give it a double click and you'll see a lot of options come up. This is called a polyline edit. So say if you want to change the width, so you can click on width and specify new width for all segments. Not sure how thick it is, we'll just type in 4 here, and you see now the line is actually 4 units thick. So again, it's kind of good to say for if you're doing kind of floor plans and some walls need to be thicker, this might be a nice, easy, quick way to do it. So I'll just escape out of that. So in the exercise on the notes for the polyline is just asking us down here to draw a rectangle, the same rectangle we did before, but 30 units long by 15 units wide, and we'll set the width of the polyline to 5. So just put that back there. So again, I'll just go into a clear space. Okay, so this exercise, using the polyline, we're going to draw a line, and we're actually going to draw it like 30 units long by 50 units wide. Again, we're going to set the polyline width to 5. So we can specify our start point, so just click randomly on the screen. Going to set our width. I've actually already done it quickly there, so what you can see, so click on the width option, type in 5, and ending width is going to be 5 as well. So we see now a line here, so whatever line we draw now is going to be 5 units thick. So it's useful for if you're doing external walls, need to be a bit thicker. It's one way to do it. So the length, we're going to click on length down here, because we know it's going to be 30 units, so 30, and then the width was going to be 15, and it's going to be obviously 30 units back this way, and then you can just join them up at the end. So here we have this is our polyline rectangle. So it's the same rectangle we have here, just with a thicker line, and it's polyline, and it's all kind of similar. But again, I think if you're going to draw a rectangle, it's better to use the rectangle command, because what we did here, we can still change here. We can change the thickness of these lines if you want. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is actually the hatching option. So again, in the drawing tab up here, there's another option here. So there's a few other things we haven't covered yet. So arc, and these are drawing ellipse. They're fairly straightforward. You can have a play around them yourselves. But the one we're going to look at next is the hatch command. So what hatching means is actually just going to be coloring in. So you see all our objects here. We print these out. There's going to be white paper where there's a black line. But say if you wanted to actually add a color or a gradient or a pattern inside here, just say it was going to be like a concrete wall, you can click on this little option here. So that's the hatch option. So again, we'll just hover over, you can see. So you can fill in the shape with a pattern. So you can either click on the icon here or press H on the keyboard and enter. So you'll see what it says: hatch, pick internal point, or select objects, blah, blah, blah. So this is why it's actually important. We were talking to today, or in the other video, about making sure all our lines are joined up, because if the lines aren't joined up, then the hatch command won't work, for example, because outside the shape, AutoCAD is kind of almost infinite. It goes infinitely in the X and Y axis, so we can't color in the background of infinite space. So, but we have a shape here, we can actually click into it. And you see, just we click in, and you see now this is our kind of default pattern to come up. So once we click into it, the ribbon changes. We've got all these options, so we can click it to solid, and if you click the drop down menu here, you can change it to kind of where are we going to go? Change the different ones like this. So it comes up kind of separate lines like this. So it depends. Like if you're drawing concrete, brickwork, there's options for roof, earth, dots, whatever you want to do. So there's loads of different things. It depends really what you're going to draw and what it's going to be, what you're going to fill it in. Just for example, I'll click on these lines here, so the horizontal lines. Now one thing about using the hatch command is that say if you wanted to draw these lines, but you actually wanted them a bit further apart. So we're still in the active hatch command. So in this option here in the properties section, the hatch command, we have this option here. This is the scale option, so hatch pattern scale. So this is where you can actually play around with it. So increasing this or decreasing it will actually change the appearance of this. So if we increase it, say to 10, that means the lines are actually going to be further spread out. But say if we increase it back down to 0.5, it's going to be a lot more tighter, the lines. So again, it depends on how big your drawing is going to be. If it's going to be a large scale drawing, if you're drawing in meters or drawing in millimeters, you'll have to probably go into the hatch and change these around a little bit. So, but otherwise, and then once you're finished with your hatch, you just hit enter, and that'll close the command. And you'll see now that's actually all these little lines in the hatch are actually one solid object. Again, if you need to delete them, you can just click on them and delete them, and it'll actually keep the rectangle there. It will only delete the internal part of it. Okay, so the last things we're going to do here are just a few of the modifying commands. So they're kind of fairly simple ones, very essential ones, I would say. So we're going to move on to this little tab here, but we're going to just start with just the move command and the copy command. So move command, fairly self-explanatory. If you want to move something on the screen, you use this command. Copy command if you want to copy something. So we'll start with the move command. So just click on the move icon, or you can type M on the keyboard. So again, read what it says on the command line. So it says select object. So just click on one of your objects, preferably one of the circles maybe, because it's one solid object. So select the object. It'll say down the bottom that one object has been found. If you're happy, if you want to select more, you can click on other objects. But if you're happy that you've selected everything you need to select, just hit enter. Now it says specify your base point or your displacement. So again, you can move the object from your base point is basically the point at which you're going to grab it and move it across. So for a circle you could click on the inside of the square, or you could click out here. So I'll just click on the inside of the, For a circle you can click on the inside of it, or you can click anywhere really you want. For this example, let's click here, and then you can just move it over. So my ortho is still on, so I'll just turn that off. So now I can move this anywhere I want. So move it there. And then I'll do one more time. I'll just select it again. Can move this one. I've selected all the objects I want, so hit enter. Specify a base point. Now you could actually select a base point over here. So maybe you've actually drawn another object and you're going to use that as a reference point. So you can click an object here, and then you can move it like this. So again, fairly straightforward. The copy command is just underneath the move here. So you can just click on the icon down here, or you can press CP on the keyboard. So again, we'll use the same circle again. So click on the circle and then select our object. So we've selected one object, we don't select anything more, so just hit enter and then specify your base point. Again, very similar to the move command, so I'll just select it from the center of the circle, and then you can just kind of click it around and copy them all over the place, as many as you want. Once you're finished copying them, you just hit enter again, and that'll end the command. So straightforward enough. They both work in a similar way. Just again showing your selection icons, or the selection option that we did before. Say you wanted to actually move a lot of objects, so we can actually click on the mouse from the top right corner and drag this green square across everything you see on the screen, more or less. Then we can click on the move command and specify the base point. Doesn't really matter where our base point is, so we can just pick one of the circles, and that'll actually move all our objects in one go. Again, similarly enough, if you do the same thing, select everything again, and you want to copy them, click on the copy icon, specify your base point. Again, it doesn't really matter, so I'll just click one here. Then you can actually copy them here and here. So you're probably going to use the move command, the copy command quite a lot, because in engineering, lots of the things you're going to be drawing are standardized drawings. So if you make one drawing, say if you're making a brick, then you can actually copy that a lot then to make a brick wall, for example, or different types of foundations. You know, you're going to try and work smart instead of drawing the same thing over and over again. See, can you actually use repetitive things? So later on, we're going to look at things like blocks, which will actually cover this bit more detail. But that's everything we're going to cover today. So that was the move and copy command. The next video we'll start looking at a few of the other modifying commands. But yes, I hope that was helpful for you. And if you have any questions, just send me an email. And if you're not sure about anything, just go back and watch the video. Thank you.